It is overtime here again at Old Favorite Friday, and I brought in the big guns, as I often do when we're talking about Belgian beer. I bring in Bill McPhee, my partner in the brewery, the brewmaster of the brewery, and a guy who knows a lot about Belgium, been to Belgium many times, knows sour beers, knows traditional Belgian ales. So we're talking about Petrus here, and this is their sour ale, this is their sour pale ale, aged 2 years in foeders. And we haven't featured a lot of sour beers, actually, on Old Favorite Friday. We've done a couple. We've done Duchess, we've done Rodenbach Grand Cru,
Right.
ones that are really widely available, really well respected. This is a brewery doing sour ales that's right up there with that kind of class, sophistication, with the reputation of doing great sour ales. Well, you've never featured them before. What are your thoughts on this? I think you told me you actually been to this brewery, right?
Yeah, I have been to this brewery. It's I'm probably not going to pronounce it right, but La Brabandaire, I believe is the way it's pronounced. And it's an old brewery. It's been around for a good while. And I remember seeing the foeders there. But of course, I've been to Rodenbach, which has got lots and lots of foeders.
Bigger.
Rodenbach's
bigger. Yeah.
Rodenbach's a much bigger brewery. But they also make some other beers. They make that I happen to like. I know they make Wittekirche, which is a nice Wit beer if you've ever had it. And they make the Bavik line, which I think has got a Pils and some other beers. But this is their sour line, and I think they're very good.
So this is the beer that kind of is the engine for all their other sour beers. So this beer is what goes into being aged in different barrels and blended into different beers to make the other beers that they make. This is like a lighter. I think the ABV on this. Oh, I'm sorry, this ABV is 7.3%. Lighter in color, but certainly not light and out in ABV. This drinks like a much lighter beer.
It does.
Drinking this, I would not have assumed it was over 5.56%. Because it's so clean, it's so drinkable. This is called a sour ale. Everyone, when they think about sours, they think, oh my God, it's gonna be mouth puckering. Or if they've been drinking sours, quote unquote sours, from American breweries over the last 5 to 10 years, they think it's gonna be nothing but fruit and it's gonna be a smoothie. This is neither of those things. This is well balanced. I'm getting sweetness on the approach. I'm getting tartness on the back end. Are there any flavors you're picking up on this beer, Bill?
Well, yeah. I mean, first of all, you do get a little bit of oak character from it.
Absolutely.
But,
I'm getting some vanilla.
And some vanilla from it, for sure. But interestingly, as I think you mentioned earlier, I get a little bit of apple off of it, which I think is really different. It's something about that.
I'm getting, because of the acidic nature of it, apple cider vinegar.
Right.
That's like one of the and I love apple cider vinegar. I put apple cider vinegar in every salad dressing I make.
Yeah.
I pour it on everything. I love the flavor profile, and I'm picking this up. And apple, if you don't know, acetaldehyde is a beer spoiler that gives off apple flavor. Most of the time, if you tell a brewer I taste apple in your beer, they're going to hit you, or they're going to run in the opposite direction because they're embarrassed. This is not one of those cases. This is a beer that their flavor profile is built with specific, I believe, probably lactobacillus. I don't know every bacteria that goes into this to make this beer sour, but this is not a bad thing. So it's interesting to try a beer that has that kind of apple flavor when it's intentional.
I agree.
Even if it's not intentional, if it's a pleasant byproduct of the flavor.
I think, as you were pointing out, this beer is not. There's different levels of acidity. There's different types of acids that go into these sour beers, and some of them, the acidity is really harsh, kind of gets me in the back of the throat. This one is softer, which to me says a lot more lactic acid, which is a softer acid, I think, and a little easier drinking. So I think it goes down very smoothly.
Yeah, and I'm not getting a lot of like barnyard funk. I'm not getting a lot of bread out of this. Maybe a smidge, but definitely not one of the featured flavor profiles of this. And I'm always taken aback when I'm talking about sour beers, when we do sour beers, or Odd Breed Wild Ales, our sister brewery does sour beers. That's all they do is sour beers, right?
Right.
Wild ales, I should say. Is that people get so they get tight about that. They why would you want a beer to be sour? And then I ask them, and what kind of wine you drink, and they say Sauvignon Blanc. And I'm like, well, it has acidity to it. It has tartness. This has a lot of wine-like characteristics to it. It's soft acidity, it's well integrated, there's a little bit of sweetness, tons of fruit. I'm picking up even like lemon, blackberry. Blackberry is a strange flavor to get off this, but I'm picking that up. I mean, would this be, in your opinion, Bill? I mean, we always talk about being a gateway beer. Could you actually give this to a wine drinker and convince them that this is something, or is it just a mental block that they're never going to get over?
I think depends on the wine drinker, obviously, but I think a wine drinker with an open mind could definitely get the wine characteristics out of this, definitely.
Yeah, and because it is a beer that has some of those flavor profiles, I'd recommend pairing this very similar with food to other dishes you would do with a Sauvignon Blanc or a
Right.
well-made Pinot Grigio. I'm not talking about Santa Margarita here, but a good Pinot Grigio that's not just an acid bomb, that has good flavor and complexity and body. Because even though it's lighter drinking, it's got a medium body to it.
It does.
And it has some full flavor. It's plump on the tongue. One of the things I would recommend with this would be a Chilean sea bass.
Interesting, yeah.
A fatty, rich fish, right? And
For the acidity to cut the fat. Yeah,
Exactly.
which is a thing, definitely works.
And I would recommend, if you're doing this, and just think about fatty fishes in like a white wine butter sauce, not necessarily lemon. Everyone wants to do lemon on fish. It's just everyone finishes it with a spritz of lemon. The acidity's already here,
Right.
so you don't need to add that in there. So a white wine butter sauce with a nice fatty fish is going to be dynamite, because this is going to add the acidity that you want already, and it's going to cut through all the fat. It's going to refresh your palate for the next bite. I wish I had it right now. I say it all the time because I talk myself into these pairings. I talk myself into these pairings, and I wait several hours till dinner, which isn't really fair. Bill, is there anything else? I mean, the blending process of this. Is there anything that you want to talk about with that? Or this is aged for 2 years, right? This is a beer that sits around for a while.
2 years and foeders, and then I think they blend it with several different fruits. They have several different fruit varieties of
Do they?
their. Yeah, they do.
I haven't seen
yeah,
those.
there's several fruited Petrus sours out there. There's a raspberry. There's a cherry. There's at least those two I know of. But
Do you know, and by the way, I'm probably just, I'm guessing, I'm putting you on the spot here, but do you know when they age these in foeders, are they blending individual foeders to get a house style? Or is it kind of like, this is just what we got and we put it out the way it
to be honest with you, that's more detail than I know about
Okay.
their process. But
That's being honest. You also could have just said something, and no one but the people here and a few people in the know would have known the difference, Bill. But that's integrity. You have real integrity. Well, everybody, listen. Don't be afraid of sour ales. Don't be afraid of wild ales. They don't all have to be smoothies and just look like you went to Jamba Juice. They don't all have to just get you in the back of the throat and make you regret life. They can be soft and drinkable, and they can bring tons of different flavors. As this warms up, I'm getting tons of different complexities out of it. And this is a beer that's widely available. And we're talking about this. Look at this gorgeous can. This is an old world brewery. This beer was first brewed in 1970, but they've been around for a long time. And it's accessible if you get your hands on it. And give it a try if you haven't had it in a while. Please also let us know other beers that we should be featuring for Old Favorite Friday. Please let us know what you thought about this in the comments if you have a chance to go pick it up. And then we'll see you next week on Old Favorite Friday. Cheers.
Cheers.
Thanks, Bill.